Scudder Farms. We're back with another episode of Taheton County, and today we're going to be wrapping up our fall tillage here in literally just a moment and moving the clock forward here into winter and seeing if we can get our corn all sold off at the elevator. We have quite a bit left to get out of the bins. We have dried it all. In fact, if we take a look here, we came up just short of 9,000 bushels of corn, which is doing pretty good. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to see if I can figure out how to get a more realistic value for our Rowcrop soybeans right now. So those are sitting at about 5,000 bushels for the few fields that we harvested. Given how much more acres of corn we harvested, I was not expecting to see the delta between those two crops be so small. But maybe they're closer than I think. I'm not sure. I've got to take a closer look at that, though, at some point in the future. But for right now, we're going to be focused on getting this calendar year kind of wrapped up here. And we're on the last few feet here of this field. Course play handled this field admirably. I think we only missed a couple of small little spots in the corners with the tillage here. So I'm going to go ahead and run this down to the couple of corners that I know we missed and take care of that here real quick. In fact, let's just go ahead and get rid of this course play nonsense right now. We're gonna continue on this way. Let's see if I can gear us up a little bit and we'll take out the corner here. One thing that I did notice on this particular field is that something went wrong with the precision farming metrics on the field, and we did not get any nitrogen down on this field at all, which I thought was very unusual. The only corner I think I missed any crops on is the one right here in the back, so we're going to run down here real quick. But if we look here at the precision farming screen, you can see I'm at 59 with nothing on that top bar. And that's because it did not register any nitrogen for this field for some reason. I'm not sure why that is, what happened, but that's an abysmal precision farming score. And I don't know what's causing it or what we should do about it. But that's something for us to keep an eye on as time moves forward here, because a low precision farming score like that, especially on our biggest field, is going to really hurt our overall score. In fact, if we look at it again, it's dropping my score down to a 74 when I believe all my other scores are in the 80s, even 90s. So to have a one score at 59 is really not something I'm a big fan of for obvious reasons. However, that's a problem for us to work on next year here. I've got the tillage all done, so we can go ahead and get this thing folded up. We're going to bring it back up into the yard here once we get it folded up. It looks like our corn dryer's still running. We don't need any of these to actually be running anymore. I'm going to have to remember to come in and turn these on at some point in the future. Because otherwise the grain won't move through the row crop system, like the dryer, or through the silo system, I don't think. But if I turn all those off, it does turn off the animations on the dryer, which we don't want that running non-stop here. So we'll go ahead and do that, and in 10 episodes or whatever it is from now, when I'm trying to harvest my next round of crops and I forget that that's on, hopefully somebody in the comments will be able to remind me. Now, we did a good job of putting all of that equipment away. We got it all washed up from the previous episode, so I'm going to just hit this up with the power washer real quick and we'll get it put away as well before we start skipping the time forward. And with that all taken care of, we're going to try and back this in here. I'm just trying to look over top of all of our other equipment. It's one of the last things we're going to need again in the coming year, but I suppose it won't kill us if it's in the way a little bit. We can always move things around. I'm probably going to put it right back here in front of the quad track. I think is going to be the best place to toss it. We got a Be careful and not run into the side of the door frame here with our implement. Oh, we're actually bleeding through. Luckily, there's no collisions on that. We're taking it nice and slow, though. Otherwise, we may have more problems than I care to admit. And I guess what I can do is I'll get this straightened out just a little bit, and then we're going to pull it forward like so. And that way, if I really need to get out with the quad track, I should be able to sneak out of there. I'm going to leave this hooked up for now, though. I don't have anything else I need the 8RX for. And I think we're all done with everything in there until next spring. So we'll close the door on that chapter of the farm this year. And I'm just taking a quick look. I don't think there's a whole lot else going on here. So let me go ahead and close out a few more of these sheds, just so I'm not looking at everything hanging open. I'm trying to remember if this shed has a specific trigger. Like, is it over here? It is. Okay, there we go. Farm's all buttoned up tight, and we're ready to get things moving. We're gonna come up to the farm here and start running the clock. I think somebody needs to take the trash out to the road, but we'll get things moving. I need to move the clock into January for our corn, which should bring in $439,000, which is going to be great. I'm looking forward to that. So without further ado, here we go. All right, we have moved our way into January. And while everything's a little frosted over, we did not get the amount of snow that I was expecting or hoping for on this map. Part of that is very likely because we're running with the seasons on a single day per month. And if I remember correctly, somebody at Giants once told me that the snow amounts in single day seasons are much reduced. Since it's a shorter overall day, they didn't want it to affect gameplay as much. And so we're not going to be moving the time forward on any of that just now. We're going to be just focusing on getting our crops hauled off to market. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this semi up, and we're going to see where the best prices are. So if I bring open our time-saving stock check menu, our max price is supposed to be up near 416. Interesting. So we're not quite there right now because we've only got 396 here. Let's take a look at the actual market for dried corn. Everything's on the way down right now, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to go ahead and take our best price here, and we're going to tag GW Grain. And we're going to have to find GW Grain on the market here, or on the map here. So let's go ahead and jump into this. And GW Grain is going to be actually up here right down the road, which is going to be very convenient. So we'll back up here. I got to get the other hopper filled up here. We do have a few loads that we're going to have to make here with grain, so I think I'm going to take this opportunity to record an auto drive course for this particular job. So let's go ahead and get that popped up here. It's always fun to try and do this on the very first time for a load because you have no idea where you're going, so you got to try and figure it out on the go. Now, I've got all the farmyard paths worked out here, so we're going to just freeform it up to the road at least. And then I will try my best to get a path going here from, I want it to be this node here, recording. I'm going to have to fix that. I do that all the time. I'll get that path brought up here. I'm going to turn nice and wide out onto the road, though. And before I get going too far, let's just pause that for a second. I want to continue the straight path from there to there. Good deal. And then let's start recording again. And we're going to take this all the way down to the sell point here. All right, we're coming up towards town here. I don't know. I think I want to turn here. I wish I'd driven down here before, but I guess we're about to find out how this goes. And we're gonna shoot straight across the railroad tracks in this side, and that should let me come in to our sell point, and then I think we're gonna be able to go out the other side, but we'll find out if I should have done this inverted, I suppose, after the fact. No, everything looks pretty good here, and honestly, I think coming in from the other side would have been too sharp of a turn, especially when full. The semi's a little bit more maneuverable when it's empty, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this right on through here. We'll get this unloading. And of course we're on the back hopper, but we'll get the front hopper. I don't think I'm gonna have to back up or anything. Always so hard to see what's going on the inside of the fill points here. There's the front hopper, and I'm not creating the point for the sell point here just yet because I want to pull this semi forward just a little bit more before we create the actual drop point. There we go, we got that all sold off. Come on, create the point. There's the point. All right. So we're going to add this as, was it GW grain? There we go. Yep, so I have the sell point there. Now we need to finish making the rest of our course. And I'm just going to swing a little bit wide here. And then I think there's a road. No, there is not. We have made terrible mistakes. All right, well, delete that. And back we go. All right, I deleted a bunch of these waypoints. I'm going to delete just a couple more. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull back through, and we're going to pick up that recording just as if I had come through for the first time. Because otherwise it's going to be all wonky and crooked and not going to work out so well for us. Hopefully I don't get hung up on anything. That's kind of a tight curve. There we are. And we'll get a little bit ahead here and start recording again. And then here I want to make sure I get down the ramp pretty far before I start turning too tight, just so we don't get hung up on anything. Getting a little close to the edge there, I guess, but it's working out for us. And then on this side, we could have done a two-way course on this maybe for a bit, but it's all right. We're going to just have completely separate courses. This road is so narrow here that it's just about like a one-way road is the reason why I was kind of thinking maybe we should have a two-way course for this. But it is what it is. We'll go ahead and run with what we've got right now. Ideally with 2 trucks only going at a time, it shouldn't be a problem where we run into a situation where we're on that little bit all at the same time. But I guess we'll find out. Either way, I'm going to get this thing back up to the yard, and we will be done creating those courses, and hopefully we can get both of our trucks running on delivery missions here to get all of our corn sold off today. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually drive straight through this, and we're going to stop things right here. And luckily there's no traffic enabled right now, but my whole goal with doing it this way is to be able to connect this part of the road to this part of the road. And then if I continue to back up here a little bit and find this particular point, I want that to connect here, so I'm going to give myself a nice curve in like so, and then we're gonna back up the rest of the way so I can actually get on this particular course, and I should be able to load. Let's see, pick up and deliver. Pick up at the farm bins, deliver to the GW grain, and we're doing dried corn. Let's go. See how this works out for us. I really probably don't need that enabled right now. And I really think this is going to work no problems. We'll have to check in when we get up to the grain yard, I suppose, because that'll be the first time that we've followed this course up to that area. But as we come by the farmyard here, my intent is to jump out and we'll run over and get the other semi going, because I want to get as much of this sold off as we can. Unfortunately, we have very realistic doors here. I've got to open these from the inside. There we go. Let's get this guy fired up. We haven't used him yet in the series, I don't think. We've been so focused on our other semi. See if I can get out of the yard here before the other semi comes through. I don't think it's going to fill up quite that fast, but you never know. You never know. It looks like we did use this semi for something, probably the lime, because the fuel is not topped off right now. We do need to get a fuel tank on here at some point on the farmyard. I want to move these silos as well come spring. We got a lot of miscellaneous farm-related tasks that we're going to need to tackle at some point here. It looks like the other semi is still loading up. That gives us a moment to get this going. We need to fill at the farm bins, sell there, and we're doing dried corn as well. And then I suppose we should go ahead and just get this started off, get it all filled up here. While this guy is doing that, let's go ahead and jump in our other semi here, and we're gonna follow him back up to the sell point, make sure this is all gonna work out for us. And just reminding myself, we've got another 5,000 bushels of dry corn that we're pulling out right now. So that's going to be at least a couple loads for each of these semis. So I'm glad we got a couple of them that we're able to run back and forth here. Should work out pretty well for us. And this is going to be our first true test to see if we can make this corner. I was not really planning on cornering here when we first started recording the course, or I would have probably swung wide a little bit there, but it seems to be working. Makes me nervous with all these train tracks everywhere and how long the train is and how fast that train is, that we're going to run into an issue where we plow right into it one of these times with an auto drive course, but it is what it is. I don't know that there's any way I can turn the train off. Not that I want to. I actually liked having the traffic on this map as well, but it was just causing so many headaches for us trying to move equipment around that I turned it off for the time being. It looks like we're pulling in just fine. The question is, are we going to unload both hoppers without issue? At least the front hopper's going in, which is to be expected. We'll see how the second hopper goes in just a second. There's first hopper unloaded and pulling forward. I can also see the other semi coming in right now behind us. I'm hoping he can get into the yard before we start heading back out. That in hindsight would have been better to maybe pause for a minute before we started him on the course, just so that we're not running into the one problem that we've got, which is if these guys are trying to go in and out on that short road area at the exact same time. But we were able to unload all of our corn without any problems here. And let's see if... oh yeah, he's already into the stall. We're good to go, folks. Well, let's see how it does getting back out of here, and then I think we're going to be scot-free. This is one of those easier auto drive courses to create. Not terribly concerned with it. There we go. He's actually running pretty fast on this little side road. We must be erasing the clock here. I do have it on 5x time today. Oh, we're way off into the ditch there, but that's all right. Looks like we're getting things back on track, and we're off to the farm. At this point, I don't expect any problems because we've already tested from the main road here into the farm to get our grain loaded up. So this is going to go really well. Let's take a look at our finances now. If I remember right, we're somewhere around $800,000 in debt by the time we move time forward and all the other shenanigans that we had to deal with. So we're going to start paying down this loan a bit. A couple $100 grand is going to make a pretty big dent in this. And then we're going to be able to hopefully finish paying off a good chunk of our loan with the soybeans when they come in. And what that really means for us is that this first year is more or less paying for the loan to get all this new fancy equipment that we brought into the farm. You know, things that we didn't need to do, like upgrading to that big Balzer grain cart. Yeah, it's fun. It cost us a lot of money, though. We really didn't need to do it, but this is going to be one of those let's see if we can expand and have a lot of fun type series. So we're going to run with that kind of a mindset here throughout. So we'll always probably be a little bit in debt on this series, which is totally fine. But what we need to do is just keep an eye on that loan so that we're not letting it get out of hand and paying a lot more than we need to, especially through the winter as we're moving the months forward on all of the lease fees or loan fees. I don't think we've got any actual leased equipment right now. And so we're going to just keep going here and see how everything plays out. Now, the one thing we did do in the previous spring is I leased another planter setup. We've got a couple of big tractors now, so I might just get a planter to go with one of the big tractors we already have and get a second planter going for this spring. I think having multiple planters is a must-have with how many fields we have, and in fact I think we may even end up deciding to pick up a drill of some kind so we can start doing things like winter wheat. I know a bunch of people had recommended that we try that out in this series, and I'll be honest, I completely forgot about that before we moved the time forward, so that's kind of my bad here. But we're going to be looking at some additional crops and stuff as we get into next year. The corn and beans for the Rowcrop Ready are definitely fun. But I think we can get into some of the other crops with the drill and not get the penalties that we're seeing for planting the row crop crops. And so if I can keep the row crop planting to a single implement and then run a drill for some other things, that might be the way to alleviate some of our problems. And I've been looking at some of the different crops available to us. I know we're playing in an Iowa area, so we could do a few things. Winter wheat would have been the natural one, but I've missed that window already. I was thinking maybe we could do some oats on this map. Might be kind of fun. And then maybe we'll actually just drill our beans as well at some point and do some regular soybeans instead of the row crop soybeans. I'm not sure yet, but then we would do row crop for corn, and then we'd have some other crops here where we could mix in some oats or some soybeans and get those going and see a little bit of a relief. Rye might also be another good one. This looks like it's got a winter crop possibility where I could plant that in the fall. I've never done much with rye, so I'm not sure what kind of crop that is. So we're going to check that out here in the spring. We'll get some rye planted as well and see how that goes. It's got a July harvest season, though, so if I plant it in March, is it really going to be ready by July? I'm not sure. We're going to have to play around with that a little bit and see if we can figure it out, though. So this is our third round with this semi, and we'll have our second load with the other semi coming here behind us momentarily, I suspect, which means we should have a good chunk of our corn out of the bins. In fact, yes, we've only got 1,600 bushels left in there, which is just over another semi-load. So once both of these semis make one more round here, we'll have sold off all of our corn, which is going to be great. We've made a bit more of a profit than I was really expecting to make in the first year here, which means we should be all set to pick up that equipment that we're talking about for spring here. I'm kind of excited. I'm going to look around and see what kind of implements we're going to get here in the spring. I'm tempted to go big and get like the really large air drill, something that's just going to cover a lot of acres really quickly, because if we can get that going, and I feel good about how fast we can work some of these fields, I think we'll start buying up some more land as well. Hopping over to the other truck here, it looks like the train is going through right now. I'm not sure if we're going to make it back over there before the train finishes running through or not, but I was kind of hoping we would, just so I could see if we'd crash into it. But it looks like we're going to miss the train, which is fortunate, unfortunate. Sometimes you just want to know how things are going to play out and if they're going to be an issue or not, but I guess we'll see. We've still got a moment here to check out if this is going to be a problem. The arm is down. We did not stop. We ran right into the arm. All right, well, that answers that question, and it doesn't look like it was a huge problem, but it could definitely be a problem. As the arm was going up there, it was raising the front of our semi, so we'll keep an eye on that. It could definitely be a thing, though, but it is what it is. I'm not sure there's a whole lot we can do about that. However, that means we've just got one more round of things to do. I can just see the other semi making the curve into our bin site there to start loading up. So as soon as these guys finish up one more trip, we'll be able to take a look at our final picture for the year. All right, we're back up here with our final loads, and with only a handful of bushels for this second semi to take up, I was wondering if he'd catch up with the other truck, and he did. And unlike the railroad crossing, AutoDrive seems to do a lot better with the multiple vehicles on the same course. So he's going to sit here and wait patiently while the other semi unloads, which works out great for us. And we're making tons of money here. We've got quite a bit already paid down on our loan again here. I'm just waiting for this guy to get the last bit dropped in here so that we can see what the total is going to end up at. There we go. And not a lot for that last drop, but enough to get us to a point where I can pay down another $100K off of this. So we went from an $800,000 loan, and we're going to take that. Let's take it all the way down that we can. Might as well. That's going to take us down to $360,000 left on that loan. And if we just take a quick peek at this, we can get an estimate on our Rowcrop soybeans are going to sell for $388 in July, so that's going to put us pretty close. We're going to have some costs in the spring on seed and different things, although we do have a little bit of stuff left over in the bin site there, that bulk bin site that we've got on the farm that we're going to be able to use up. So I'm not sure what our input costs are going to be this year. However, things are looking pretty good on the farm here for us to profits in the coming year, especially if I double down and take that loan back out and we pick up some more land here in the spring, which I think we're going to do. I may even shop around for some land that has one of these other crops that we forgot to get planted ourselves. Maybe we'll find some winter wheat on a field or something like that that's already been planted. I'll have to do a little bit of looking around, and we'll shop things out over the next couple of months here and check back in next episode with springtime routine. This has been a little bit of a low-key episode, mostly because I'm coming back from being sick for the last several days. However, I'm looking forward to jumping back into things and keeping this series going over the next several episodes. If you've enjoyed the series, let me know by hitting that like button and drop a comment below, letting me know what kinds of things you'd like to see me try out next. This is definitely one of our big equipment, have some fun series, so I'm willing to bend the rules and get some cool stuff on the farm, even if it doesn't make 100% sense for what we're doing. However, that's all for today. Keterk out.